Hi, it's Mrs. Plant. We're going to start a new unit. This is our unit on the instruments. Now, the instruments we're going to talk about fall into four different families or categories of instruments. They're called families because there are some certain characteristics that make them very similar to each other. One of the ways that we categorize them into families is maybe the materials that are used to make them, how you make the sounds on them, and what they look like. The first family we're going to talk about is the woodwind family. Now, the woodwind family used to be all made out of wood, and you use wind or air to make the sound. Now, today, a lot of the instruments are not made out of wood anymore, but some of them are still made of wood. But you can also have them in metal or even certain types of plastic. We're going to get started with the smallest instruments in the family and work our way to the biggest instruments in the family. So the first is called the piccolo. The piccolo is the smallest instrument in the woodwind family. As you notice, this one is made of a type of plastic and metal. Each of the woodwind instruments has what's called a mouthpiece, or in the case of the flute and the piccolo, it's called a head joint. But this is where the air goes into it. Another characteristic of woodwind instruments is there are these holes, and these holes happen to be covered with keys, metal keys. And you put your fingers on these, and when the air goes through the instrument, your fingers change the pitch or the sound on the instrument. Now, remember, when we're talking about instruments and making sound, the smaller the instrument, the higher the sound, and the longer or bigger the instrument, the lower the sound. So the piccolo is the smallest in the orchestra or band, and it's going to make the highest sounds. There are videos that you can click on when we get to the Bitmoji classroom that you can hear somebody actually playing this. I'm just going to play a little bit so you can see that the piccolo and the flute, you blow air across the head joint, the tone hole, and you can move your fingers to change the sound. And that's the piccolo. The next smallest instrument in the woodwind family is the flute. So the flute is going to still make high sounds in the orchestra or the band, but it's going to make lower sounds than the piccolo you just heard. So that's the start of our unit on instruments, the woodwinds with the piccolo and the flute. There is also going to be a button for a native flute, and I don't have a native flute, but you'll get to see James Greeley playing the native flute. I hope you enjoy these lessons this week.